Good afternoon. We will go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Forte,
Present.
Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Einhauser is excused. Madam Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay, great. We will move to the next two items. The first is the approval of the agenda. You have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move approval.
Thank you. Is there support?
Madam Chair, you have to support.
Thank you. I will support that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion has been approved. The next item is the approval of the August 6th, 2025 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the August 6th meeting minutes.
I'll support the motion. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved. We'll now move into public participation, and I see Mr. Peckinpah on the line, and we'll ask him to make the announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian Peckinpah, Public Affairs Director for Detroit Water and Sewage Department. I'll make the public comment announcement. To make a comment, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device using the Zoom app. If you are calling into the meeting by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. During public comment, after your name is called, you will be given permission to unmute. In order to begin speaking, you will have to unmute yourself. To do so, press the unmute button, which is the microphone icon if you're online or on the Zoom app, or press *6 if you are calling in. At the beginning of your comment, please share your full name and the community or neighborhood you live, work in, or are representing. The timer will start after your introduction. You will have a limit of 3 minutes to make your comment, and please keep your comments to the public comment. This is not an opportunity to request information or data, which can be done through the city website and Legistar. If you make a comment and in order for DWSD staff to follow up with you, we kindly request you complete the comment card link located in the chat, as well as located with the Board of Water Commissioners meeting event posted on the city website on the DWSD homepage. You will only be called upon once the chair closes public comment. There will be no other comments from the public, and all attendees will remain muted for the duration of the committee meeting. Please, if you're here for public comment, please raise your hand now. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Peckinpah. Do we have any public comment?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. I'll ask again. Do we have any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we will then move through the rest of the agenda. Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is communications. We do have item 2025-200. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to receive and file.
And I support that motion. Questions or comments about the correspondence? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Number 7 is unfinished business, and we have none. We'll move on to item 8, new business. And the first item for number 8 is 2025-211.
Yeah, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioner Henry. Istika Raman, Chief Financial Officer, DWSD. The first item here is the cash and investment. This is an annual review of our cash and investment position and the market outlook. We have with us today Gray Laplease, is the Senior Director at PFM Asset Management. Gray is going to run through a presentation to give you an update on the investment position as well as the current market outlook. Gray?
Thanks, Istakar. Nice to see everyone today. I'm going to share my screen, so bear with me 1 minute. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes, I believe we can. Yep.
And then I'm also going to stop my camera so I don't have any issues with bandwidth. So hold on one moment. Okay. As I'm going through this, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to pause and just talk about a specific topic or two. So keep me posted on that. But I do, as Istiker mentioned, I'm going to go through talking about the economy and the markets, and then go into the investments held by DWSD. So to start out, current economic environment, there's a lot of words on this page. Happy to not read through the whole thing for you. But basically what we're showing here is our general market themes. And I would say that one that is not necessarily in bold on this page, but I think is really the headline, is that the recent theme has been uncertainty. So uncertainty about the economy, uncertainty about jobs, uncertainty about inflation, and we'll go into that a little bit more. But on this page, we also talk about the Fed, and that has a lot to do with your investments. So we'll discuss the Fed and what we expect the Federal Reserve to be doing over the next few months here. And then finally, talk about what's been happening with Treasury yields and therefore the rest of the fixed income market as well. So one main focus of uncertainty has been the tariff situation. So coming into the beginning of this year, we had been, if you look at the left-hand side of this page, we had been at a very low tariff rate, quite low, and basically where it had been since 1933 or so. What we've seen since then is that with a number of different tariffs being imposed on different countries, including Canada, including Mexico, including China, et cetera, we have seen what we would continue to call a whipsaw to a certain extent of the overall effective tariff rate. So what we're showing here is from Bloomberg, and it essentially tries to go through and show what is the overall effective tariff rate for any good coming into the US. And you can see at the beginning of the year, as I show on the left, around 3.7% when China's tariff went up by 10%. It has gone all over the place, especially after Liberation Day, which was on April 2nd. That's when we saw a bevy of tariffs being imposed or expected to be imposed on many of our trading partners. And you can see that the tariff rate at that point went up to about 28% or so. Many of those were backtracked. And so where we are today, if you go over to the right-hand side of this chart, you can see we're closer to the mid-teens when it comes down to overall tariff rates. That includes a 10% tariff on all imports coming into the US. That also includes specific tariffs on our trading partners with whom we have a deficit, trading deficit. And we also have continued to see that waffle to a certain extent. So right now, what we're showing on this chart is around 13, 14%. But really what we've seen recently from some of the projections out there, including the Yale Budget Lab, is that the overall effective tariff rate is likely closer to about 18%, which again, on a historic basis, is the highest it's been in almost 100 years. So the reason it's important to talk about this is because this is expected to have a significant impact on inflation and definitely a significant impact on potential revenues coming into the US as well. So it's not a one-sided thing, right? It's not all negative, it's not all positive. We have to kind of take a measured approach, but with the effective tariff rate being where it is and a lot of this being up in the air, we're also seeing other parts of fiscal policy adding to that uncertainty. And I'm sure a lot of these that are on the right-hand side are something that you've heard of and are probably experiencing to a certain extent yourself. We've seen tax reform. In terms of uncertainty, we've seen a lot of funding freezes and potential funding freezes going through. And then also the debt ceiling has been a question, whether or not the US government is going to continue to be able to service the debt that it already has and continue to issue more debt. So when we think about that, we think about tariffs and specifically about how it might play into costs and prices and the pressures that we see in that spot. What I'm showing here on this page is CPI. That is our inflation metric that we like to look at, Consumer Price Index. And really what you can see is in terms of what's good or bad here, green is good, red is bad, white is neutral. And you can see from 2023, early 2023 through now for CPI on that first line, we're definitely in a better spot than we were, right? During 2022, we hit up high of CPI of over 9% on a year-over-year basis, meaning prices from 2021 to 2022 had increased by 9%. Now we're showing numbers that, if you look at the right-hand side of this chart, are closer to about 2.5%, 2.7%. So if I were to bring this closer to today, you would see that CPI has come up to about 2.7%. If we take out what are considered to be more volatile components, such as food and energy, which tend to bounce around a lot more, that number is closer to 3%. And you might say, well, that's great progress from that 9% that I mentioned, and it is. However, we're still in a position where we consider this to be too hot, the inflation to be too hot. So the Fed wants inflation to be closer to 2% on an overall basis. And so when you think about 3% or somewhere in that 3% range, it's still not back to where the Fed would like it to be, and they still don't feel as if it's under control. But with the tariff situation specifically, it's hard to know exactly what's going to pan out in terms of that those inflationary pressures. The next line down is unemployment, and the two things that the Fed is really focused on is inflation and jobs. And so with jobs, we've seen that the job rate has been very low for quite some time, reaching an all-time low of 3.4%, which is the lowest it had been since 1969 in 2023. Since then, you may have heard some rumblings and some grumblings that maybe the job market isn't as strong as we would like it to be. And that's not because we're seeing unemployment, increase in an outsized manner and be really, really high, but rather because we're seeing cracks starting to show in the overall unemployment picture. So again, if I were to bring the numbers on the right-hand side closer to today, you'd actually see that the unemployment rate had fallen to 4%, then gone back up to 4.1 and back up to 4.2. We will receive jobs numbers on Friday. So if you are looking at the news, you'll probably see that on this week. So just in 2 days. But the reason I say that we're seeing some cracks is because this last reading from August was quite abysmal. When you look at the number of jobs added to the economy, historically, those numbers bounce around. It's something that's done by survey. So essentially, the Bureau of Labor Statistics goes out and asks different companies, how many jobs did you add to your company during that time frame, that month-long period? And so depending on how many people respond and what all's going on in the fact that it's summertime, those types of things, those numbers can be quite incorrect. And so on a quarterly basis, they are corrected based on tax filings. And so when you look at those numbers, we actually saw the previous 2 months downgraded significantly. So originally, we had expected that there had been quite a few jobs added in May and June. And then when that was corrected on that quarterly basis with those tax filings, we saw that jobs really were basically at zero. So we hadn't seen much of any increase during those 2 months. So that was a big downgrade and a really big concern for the government, for the economy, for the markets in general. And the reason the Fed is looking at this is because, again, the Fed is focused on inflation and joblessness, and they want to make sure that the economy is working as well as it possibly can. So from that perspective, they don't want to keep interest rates too high so that they put such a damper on demand that it shows cracks or starts to impact the job market. So at this point, we are expecting that we're going to see some rate cuts starting as a result of this, as a result of the fact that the Fed doesn't want unemployment to get out of control. But that also impacts the rest of the market. On this page, I talk about the Fed's updated summary of economic projections. This is something that the Fed puts out every other meeting. So the last time they put this out was in June. Prior to that, it had been March, and we are going to get updated projections this month at their September meeting in just about 2 weeks. But really what I want to show you here on this page is that the Fed projections for GDP, so for economic growth in general, were downgraded. So if you look at the top left-hand corner there, going from the light blue to the darker blue, you can see that that was downgraded in 2025, 2026, 2027 is about the same, and longer runs about the same as well. But this is really as a result of the concerns that we're going to see those tariff impacts continue to flow through to the consumer, right? Because at some point, those tariffs are going to have to be paid by someone. And a lot of economists believe that that's going to be an impact on the consumer itself and will therefore drive consumer spending down because people will be spending more money to get the same things. And the unemployment rate on the top right-hand side, you can see that it was slightly increased, meaning that they were expecting a little bit more softening in the labor market in 2025 and 2026, but generally in line in 2027 and longer run, around 4.2%. That is still a very strong number, as I mentioned, but again, they don't want this to get out of control, and that's part of the reason we expect them to be acting shortly to start cutting rates again. In terms of inflation in yellow, you can see that that was also downgraded, meaning that they expect inflation to be higher over the next few years. And if you think about that 2% target, meaningfully getting down to that 2% target, the Fed doesn't expect that they'll get down there until 2027 or maybe even longer term than that. And then finally, the federal funds rate actually flows into the next page. So I'm just going to go there. This is the Fed dot plot. And I want to break this down for you just for a moment here. What I'm showing are each of these dots represents one of the Fed governor, one of the Fed members who gets to vote to decide where they think appropriate monetary policy should be by the end of each of these years. What that means is essentially where are interest rates now versus where do they think interest rates should be, overnight rates, by the end of 25, 26, 27, et cetera. So for the end of 2025, the expectation at this time was somewhere between 0 and 2 cuts, and it was quite divergent in terms of how many people voted for 0 and how many people voted for 2. But on average, the median came out to about 2 cuts. That would mean that we would take the overnight rate from 4.25 to 4.50 currently down to 3.75 to 4% by the end of the year. Now, with the most recent jobs data that came out, the market is now pricing in a much stronger percentage of that 2-cut scenario because they believe that the Fed is going to want to make sure that, again, that the unemployment rate doesn't go up too much. But as you go out further on this chart, you can see longer term, we expect that overnight rates are going to be somewhere around 3%. So essentially, gone are the days of that 0% interest rate environment, or at least that's what the Fed is saying at this point. So many people had wondered over the past 15 years, is this the new normal, right? Interest rates being near 0%. And the Fed is essentially saying that no, that is not the new normal. They expect them to be closer to 3%. So that plays out on this page on the Treasury curve. And you can see that the front end of the curve is higher than some of the longer term tenors. And what I mean by that is the 3-month yield, when this was put together in July, was about 4.35 versus a 2-year at 3.87 and a 5-year at 3.93. Typically, that's not the case. Typically, you see shorter term yields be lower than longer term yields. But right now, because the front end is anchored to where the Fed has interest rates, again, 4.25 to 4.50, you're continuing to see that front end of the curve be high. And then the remainder going out to about 10 years is taking into account the fact that the Fed is likely to cut rates. So that's all being priced into those other interest rates across the board. When we're thinking about how we're investing on behalf of DWSD, we're really in that 0 to 3-year space. So think of us as being, really in that front end of the overall curve. We're not going anywhere, near 5, 10, 30 years at all. I'm going to skip this page and go on to this last one. And again, I'm not going to read this, but there's a lot of factors to consider. And you'll notice that all of these different factors that we have here, monetary policy, economic growth, consumer spending, all of these things are currently, in our view, in a neutral spot. And it's hard to know. That's why I continue to come back to this word uncertainty. It's hard to know exactly where things are going to go. And so we can't really say that monetary policy is positive. It could be positive for economic growth, but that's going to depend on whether the Fed starts to cut rates again or not. Economic growth, we've seen that whipsaw between negative 0.5% during the first quarter to then 3% during the second quarter, and it remains to be seen where it's going to go from there. So again, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things to consider right now, and definitely an interesting area of history to be talking about today. Before I go into the next section, does anyone have any questions for me on this?
Are there any questions? I don't have any. John Henry, do you have any?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, I will continue. So going into the fiscal 2025 portfolio review, we have the investment allocation on the left-hand side as of June 30th of 25, and this was provided by DWSD. You can see a good portion of the portfolios in GovMIC or a GovMIC tied account. GovMIC is a local government investment pool, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that PFMAM, so my company, manages and is the investment advisor for. A good portion is also at First Independence Bank, around 48 million or so, some at US Bank, JP Morgan, and then Comerica as well. Again, when we look at how this is invested, a lot of it is held in overnight bank deposits or the local government investment pool, so very liquid investments at this point. Current investment yields are up to 5.09% as of the end of June. Most of that, any securities that were purchased last year or so have continued to hold really high yields because yields were very high, even higher than they are today at that time. And then you can see the credit ratings and the balances were broken out in a table at the bottom there. On this page, we show the fund allocation. So all of that same amount of money that I mentioned on the previous page, but shown by different portfolio and segmentation. So you see the O&Ms, you see the I&Es, the pension obligations, as well as constructions, retainage, and other depository as well. When we think specifically about what PFMAM is managing on behalf of DWSD, currently it is the sewer I&E that is being managed in an active manner. And so what I mean by that is we have about 44 million as of June 30th invested in a variety of open market securities, as well as GovMIC, as I mentioned. So you can see how that's invested here. If you look at the average yield at cost, that's where we purchased securities on an average basis. They were purchased at 466 or so. Again, overnight rates right now are between 425 and 450, so that's a very attractive yield. The yield at market is essentially, if we were to reconstitute the portfolio as of June 30th, what would the yield be that we would be able to get? And it would be closer to about a 413. So again, what that means, that 466 versus that 413, is that the portfolio has some significant gains, unrealized gains in it currently. A large portion of the portfolio, as I mentioned on the top right there, is invested in open market securities, including treasuries, which are highly liquid and very highly rated as well, because they're issued by the US government. We also have federal agency mortgage-backed securities in light blue. So those are issued by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae and have the implicit guarantee and backing of the US government as well. And therefore, they are also very highly rated. And then the other slice in green is supranationals. So supranationals might be something that not many of you have heard of, but this is essentially like the World Bank. World Bank is an example of a supranational. These are securities that are backed by multiple governments across the world in the world, and they are AAA rated. So when you look down at the credit quality in the bottom left, you'll see that 3% supranationals corresponds to that 3% in AAA ratings as well. And then you can also see the duration distribution, and a lot of it is in overnight funds, as I mentioned. So this brown section in GovMIC, let's talk about that for a minute. That portion that's held in GovMIC, I just wanted to explain that GovMIC is an LGIP, or local government investment pool, that follows Public Act 20. and therefore is in line with your investment policy and is specifically designed for Michigan government investments. PFMAM, as I mentioned, is the investment advisor for GovMIC, and the pool currently provides a really attractive yield and rate of return, about 4.30%. We will seek to redeploy some of these funds that are in GovMIC as it makes sense, with interest rates expected to fall, as I mentioned, over the next few months here at the upcoming meeting in 2 weeks. And we do expect long-term yields in that 0 to 3 year space, longer term meaning in that 3 year space really, to remain attractive on that historic basis. So when you think about where interest rates have been, as I mentioned, over the past 15 years, we still think it's attractive to look at that 2 to 3 year space. Let's go on to the next section, which is the portfolio update. And I wanted to show you something that we have talked about. This was a while ago, though. So the implementation progress that we had undergone with DWSD and Iska's team. We did do an investment program review, reviewing investment portfolio strategies and practices. We did a cash flow analysis with the team to help us determine the appropriate allocations to what would be short-term liquidity, as well as longer-term investments as well, to potentially capture those higher expected returns. We did review the investment policy to make sure it was in compliance with Public Act 20 and GFOA's best practices. And then we worked on portfolio segmentation as well. One thing I do want to mention as we move forward on this next page is the current investment considerations and how those are impacting the portfolios currently. So when we think about the overall picture that DWSD has for its investments, again, a lot of it is liquid investments right now, but there's reason for that. A lot of it comes back to the same theme that I was talking about when we discussed the markets and the economy, which is uncertainty. So when you think about cash flow analysis, there's a lot of uncertainty that's going into what's happening there. Are there going to be funding freezes? Have there been funding freezes? Budget uncertainties that are affecting many different governments, including DWSD. Changing liquidity needs. Again, interest rate expectations of rates falling and what that means, and then potential Fed policy as we move forward. And finally, I did want to mention portfolio segmentation. One of the things that we continue to talk about with DWSD is arbitrage implications. When we think about construction funds, the fact that we've continued to see investment yields be quite high over the past few years, especially in comparison to where many bonds were issued, that's one of the implications that we need to keep in mind and continue to look at. So we're looking to refine balances even further with Iskar and team over time, but again, are cognizant of these many forces at play, which continue to have a big impact on, again, many of our clients, including DWSD.
I had a question regarding potential funding freezes. Can you give me an example of what that might constitute?
Sure. So, for instance, there are some programs that are federally funded that we would potentially see maybe go away. So, some grant programs, some other things that might impact DWSD, where monies had been available before that might not be available as we move on.
Thank you, Gray.
Sure. That's my last slide. I did want to just show you my fund disclosure pages here, and I'll stop sharing my screen, but I would be happy to take any other questions that anyone has.
I just wanted to make a comment. I saw that Sam had a comment on an example, a very specific example of a funding freeze that we have that impacted us. So thank you. Questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I will also add that the number of grants being offered by EPA, FEMA, and others have seemed to slow down significantly over the last year.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, do we know a source cause of that? Is that because their budgets are shrinking or smaller?
I think it's things going on in Washington, DC.
reallocations.
FEMA, according to the White House, is being repurposed to their core mission of emergency response, and probably not so much on mitigation. The community development block grant, at least according to the White House budget, was severely cut. Not sure how that's going to play out in the end, though.
Thanks for that. Back to Gray's word, uncertainties.
That's right.
Okay, anything else on the cash and investment treasury review? Thought it was comprehensive, very informative, and really, very interesting. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no questions, we'll move on to item B, which is external auditor fiscal year 2025 audit planning review. There's a verbal update, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Istakar.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have Plant Moran with us, and Timothy St. Andrew, who's the partner at Plant Moran. It's that time of the year again. We got our fiscal year 2025 audit started. So Tim is going to give us a brief overview of his planning considerations. Tim?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you having us here to speak for a few minutes on the upcoming financial statement audit for DWSD for the year ended June 30, 2025. As Esther mentioned, my name is Tim St. Andrew, and I do have Stephanie Atkinson on with me as well. So as part of the audit process every year, we are required to have certain communications with the governing body during the planning phase of the audit. And in this case, we do that in the form of a letter. And I'm not sure if that was included in the packet today or distributed separately. And if not, it will be distributed to you. It's just a brief 2 or 3 page letter. We won't cover all of the details of this letter today, but we will use it at least on our end as a guide. In terms of audit status, so we have had several planning meetings with Istakar and the team, and we're able to come out last month and do some of the interim procedures. And so I think we're off to a good start. We have a good plan in place, and I think officially start the year-end field work in 2 or 3 weeks here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Stephanie to cover a few of the highlights in the letter.
Great. Thanks, Tim. I'm Stephanie Atkinson. I'm the manager on the engagement, and I just wanted to walk through a few highlights in this letter that has our required communications. So as Tim mentioned, we did the planning, we did start planning and our initial risk assessment during the summer months, July and August. We will be kicking off the audit here September, October, and we'll be issuing a report probably closer to December. As part of our required communications, we are required to communicate what we deem to be our, risks of material misstatements. These would be inherently risky just due to the nature of the transactions, volume, size, significant estimates, not because we actually believe or are aware of any issues. So those items would be just management override of controls, and to test that, we'll take a look at journal entries, see if there's any adjustments or anything unusual. There would also be the shared services with GLIWA. We do send confirmations for the receivables and payables between DWSD and GLIWA. The next would be proper measurement and recognition of customer billings. This would include unbilled customer billings, and then also the adequacy of the accounts receivable allowance. We do detailed testing of these transactions, making sure that they are calculated based on approved rates. And then we also do a look back analysis to ensure that the allowance on the accounts receivable is reasonable. There would also be the proper measurement and reporting of pension costs. These would be, some significant estimates based on actuarial valuations. We review those assumptions and ensure that that calculation is done appropriately. The last would just be proper measurement and recognition related to just general and other claims. We do confirm with external counsel and internal counsel, and then go through the reasonableness of those accruals. The last part of this letter would essentially just be, if you have any information that we should be aware of as your auditors, we're happy to set up a meeting with you to discuss any concerns that you would have as we head into this year's audit. That's all I have for the letter. We can pause for any questions that we're happy to cover.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions, any comments regarding this verbal update from Plant Moran regarding the annual planning of the audit? Okay, hearing none, we'll continue to move on down the agenda. And thank you, Plant Moran. And anything else that you wanted to add, Istakir?
No, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Stephanie. Nothing else. We do not have our usual monthly financial presentation this month because the year-end closing is ongoing, and there are several adjustments that we get from the city main. So the books are in the process of being closed out. We'll bring you the June report at a future meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item C then, 2025-201. Commissioner Davis, what's your pleasure?
Madam Chair, I would move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve Amendment Number 1 to DWSD Contract Number 600-6660 with Zosmer PC to support the Brightmoor Stormwater Private Property Acquisition Project by adding $500,000 for a total amended contract amount not to exceed $700,000. No changes to the scope of work or terms and conditions. This also authorizes the Director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Thank you. I support that motion. And I see Ms. Welch has joined us to help us out with details here.
Good afternoon, our Board of Water Commissioners. This is just a contract amendment to add additional funds for as-needed legal services. As the opening states, this is for the property acquisition project in the Brightmoor area for the stormwater project. When the contract was first initiated, it was for the background work as far as title search, research, market research or whatnot to see the value of the properties. And now we're moving into phase 2 where they're actually have identified those properties and what those costs are. And so they're ready to start making the offers so that they can go ahead and buy out those properties to proceed with the project. And so there'll be no additional changes to the scope of work and or the terms or conditions, just the additional funding for the continuation of this project to move forward.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has been approved, and we'll move on to item D, 2025-202.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Davis.
I would move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve DWSD contract 6007165 in parentheses CS-1998 with Process Control and Instrumentation LLC, also known as PCI Verdicts, for local sewer system metering and condition assessment services for a total contract amount not to exceed $2,993,191.80 and a term of 2 years. This also authorizes the Director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Okay, I support that motion. I think that was $2,093,191.80. Okay, thank you. Ms. Welch?
Yes, this contract supports our sewer-wide sewer flow monitoring plan by installing ultrasonic flow meters. It also has a portion of it allocated to sewer condition assessment management. It is a pilot program that's utilizing inspection technologies to evaluate and monitor our current sewer conditions and assess them for future repairs and or work that may be needed. We did advertise the project for 34 days. We received 3 bid responses and process control instrumentations bid was the lowest. They are a Detroit headquartered business and they have met all of the specification and minimum qualifications for this work. And at this time, procurement is recommending to the Finance Committee to move to full board for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. And we'll now move on to item E, 2025-203.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Davis,
I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve DWSD contract 6007372 with McQueen Equipment LLC for various Vector parts for a total contract amount not to exceed $719,013.48 and a term of 1 year. This also authorizes the Director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
I support that. Ms. Welch?
Yes, this is one of the 3 contracts that'll come before you today, and it is just a warehouse replenishment contract. This contract supports our automotive garage. McQueen Equipment is a sole source provider for our Elgin sweeping equipment and parts. The vendor has provided a sole source letter, which is up to date, indicating to DWSD that they are the only provider in this metropolitan area to provide these parts, and procurement is presenting it to the board for approval to move to the full committee. Presenting to the committee to move to the full board for approval.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion has been approved. And we'll move on to item F, 2025-204. Commissioner Davis?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve DWSD contract 6007384 with HydroCorp LLC for cross-connection compliance services for a total contract amount not to exceed $8,998,890 and a term of 5 years. This also authorizes the Director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
I support that motion. Ms. Welch?
Good afternoon again. This is a single bid contract to support DWSD with the revision of our existing cross-connection control plan as required by Eagle. We are required to maintain an ongoing backflow prevention and cross-connection control program to prevent backflow into the water system. We did advertise bids for 34 days. We only received 1 proposal. 2 vendors did attend the pre-bid conference. As a result of the low bid response, procurement did send out no bid statements to 6 vendors who actually downloaded the full bid but did not submit a response to it. We received 1 response back that indicated that it's just customary and routine for them to download the bids because they do QA, QC, and we have not received any additional responses back as of today. However, this vendor, being a single bid, did provide 3 subcontractors who would also be performing this work under this contract with them. Based on their references that they provided to procurement, they are the single source provider also for Southfield, Livonia, Bay County, Canton Township, and Bloomfield Township. And so procurement is recommending to the Finance Committee to move to full board for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. Any questions or comments here? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved. Okay, we'll move on to item G. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve DWSD contract 6007390 with DA Central Incorporated for the hardware and software development, configuration, and upgrade of the DWSD security system for a total contract amount not to exceed $600,000 and a term of 4 years. This also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
I support the motion. Ms. Welch?
Yes, this is a sole source contract with DA Central for hardware, software development, implementation, and configurations and upgrades to our current security system. The upgrades include camera, badges, identification access for all DWSD facilities. This is a 4-year contract, and DA Central is the sole source authorized distributor for our current system. DWSD procurement is presenting to the Finance Committee to move to full board for approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion has been approved. Item H is 2025-206. Commissioner Davis.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve DWSD contract number 6007398 with Core and Main for the purchase of magnetic locators for a total contract amount not to exceed $145,825.20 and a term of 1 year. The BOWC also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
I support that motion. Ms. Welch?
Yes, this is a warehouse inventory contract. It is for magnetic locators. They are used to find underground metal object and assets for DWSD. We advertised for bid for 21 days. We did receive 4 responses, and Core Main was the lowest bidder. So we're just recommending to the Finance Committee for full board approval.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Okay, this is item I 2025-207. A little late for me to be asking, but you want me to let your voice rest, Commissioner Davis?
No, you're doing a great job. Let's be efficient.
Okay, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to approve DWSD contract 6007403 with Detroit Salt Company, LLC for the purchase of bulk road salt through the State of Michigan My Deal Cooperative Contract number 18000000768 for a total contract amount not to exceed $121,700 and a term of 1 year. This also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Thank you. I support that motion. Ms. Welch?
Yep, this is second from the last. These are all warehouse contracts that are coming before you now. It is just for our regular fiscal year 26 winter season for rock salt. We always purchase through the State of Michigan My Deal. They generally do a bid advertisement for it, and then they onboard 4 different companies. And this year it is Detroit Salt who has been onboarded, so they offer us the same pricing that they offer the state. So we're just presenting it to the board for approval so that we can move forward.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Are there any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion has been approved. Item J is 2025-208. Commissioner?
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the director to approve DWSD contract number 6007441 with Ferguson Waterworks for the purchase of various gate box parts for a total contract amount not to exceed $398,750 and a term of 1 year. The BOWC also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
I support that motion. Ms. Welch?
Yes, this contract is for gate box parts. It supports our DWSD field operations. These parts are used to extend the life of the gate boxes by decreasing us having to do full replacements when minor repairs are needed. We did advertise for bid for 21 days. We received 3 responses, and Ferguson Waterworks was the lowest responsive bidder per line item. So recommending to the Finance Committee to move to full board for approval.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has been approved. And I will ask if Mr. Rahman has any additional comments on the planning calendar.
No, ma'am, no additional comments.
Okay. Are there any other matters to come before the Finance Committee? Hearing none, our next meeting is scheduled October 1st, 2025. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
And I support that. We are adjourned.
All right, we have 10 minutes to spare to the next meeting.
Good planning, Ms.
Great.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Mary,
Yes, I can hear you.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Once again.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you did. You know what chaos stands for? No. We gotta say it.
Commissioner Kinlock, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Can you hear me? This is Jane.
yes,
Hello?
we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm at the airport, so I didn't know how much was interference, okay?
Oh. Okay, are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The Detroit Board of Water Commissioners Capital Improvement Program and Operations Committee will now be. Can we mute everyone, please? And I'll ask everyone to remain muted unless you have been recognized to speak. Can the person controlling Zoom
just pop up here. And I'll just continue to get back.
thank you. We will now continue with the order of business. Next item is the roll call. Marion, would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Garcia? She is present. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Motion is in order.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
It's been moved. Is there support? Is there support? I support that motion. Okay, we'll now vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the previous meeting minutes of August the 6th. A motion is in order.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
It's been moved and I support that motion. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item is item number 5, public participation. And at this time, Mr. Peckinpah, would you please read the public participation instructions? But first, I would like to ask, before we do that, is there anyone asking to be recognized to address this committee today? Mr. Peckinpah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. There is a hand raised for this committee at this time, and I ask that since these members were in the previous meeting, that we forego the instructions at this time, since these are reoccurring public attendees and are aware of the Zoom instructions.
Okay, that's fine. We
That's
could continue. We could proceed and recognize the individual with their hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. And we ask that all individuals who have want to participate in public comment for this committee, please raise your hand now. And we see Mr. D'Amico Williams.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, Commissioner Kinlaw. Good afternoon, Board Chair. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon to the committee. This is D'Amico Williams. I am the Chief Executive Director of Hydrate Detroit. I just wanted to, and plus we're in the city of Detroit and we service all Detroiters across these 139 square miles. I want to bring your attention to what's going on. We need to update in regards to the repair and also the sewer. Regarding the heavy rainfall that we've had, we're still dealing with some street flooding, and I would like to hear from Mr. Smalley where we are with that, and also what upcoming projects is going to be done in communities across the city regarding flooding that we will see orange barrels and work crews to fix some of these sewers. I also want to address, for clarification, when we are looking at these sewers, we need to be looking at the entire sewer and not just doing basic cleaning. We also need to be doing deep root cleaning. If there are any trees or anything growing from the earth, when God created the heaven and the earth that DWSD can't get through, then it should have the means of using those tools to get rid of those trees and roots under that could be blocking the waterway so that it wouldn't flood in people's homes. This has been a situation for years, and residents have tried to report these things. And it also came up in the mayor's community meeting 2 weeks ago in regards to water infrastructure. I would hope to hear if there are any other projects that will be happening in communities, that those neighbors and the residents living in those communities that are informed, that they're properly informed, and that they're to know that work is being done. But also I would hope that those crews and contractors are looking at the sewers and doing all of the work and not just some of the work, because it happened to one resident where 10 years ago they worked on it. They worked on her sewer, and her basements is still flooding. But they sent another crew out. Hopefully, the flooding would stop. I want to thank the water contractors and those workers for being out here day and night working, digging the ditches. I see it personally. They're digging the ditches, they're going in the holes, and they're doing whatever they can to make our water better in the city of Detroit. That's all for my time. Thank you.
Mr. Peckinpah, is there anyone else?
Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair, would you mind if
yes.
I do a brief response to Mr. Williams's question?
Yes, you may.
So our operations team is going to clean over 8,000 catch basins this year, and clean over 600 miles of our sewer mains. We have 2,400 miles of sewer, so at that 600 mile plus rate per year, we're cleaning the entire system every 4 years. We also do 10% random inspection of everything that gets cleaned, whether by our crews or the contractor crews. that's a sufficient amount to ensure that our teams are doing a good job when they're doing it. We also added $7 million worth of additional contracts for both sinkhole sewer repairs and for fixing catch basins. So there should be a noticeable increase in the level of activity. This is all in addition to the comprehensive inspection and assessment that our engineering teams do, going neighborhood by neighborhood across the entire city, doing a risk-based approach to asset management. We define risk as the probability of failure times the consequence of failure. The probability of failure is we look at the material, what its history is, the break failure of that asset versus the consequence of failure. When we talk about consequences, is it a large diameter asset? Is it near a hospital or a school or other very sensitive locations, major bus routes? So we take all of that into consideration. In addition to all of that, we have the private sewer repair program going on in conjunction with HRD right now. We highly encourage residents to go to HRD's website, and maybe Mr. Peckinpah can post that link, because there are active programs right now where for free, if you qualify, our contractors will come in, do an assessment of your sewer lateral, do a backwater valve, disconnect downspouts, and even reconnect a sewer main or your sewer lateral to the main. Mr. Williams mentioned a customer, a lady who had some work done 10 years ago. There is a difference between what we are responsible for and what the homeowner is responsible for. So the beauty of the private sewer repair program, the basement backup protection program, is that we can fix your stuff with this money because it is not rate dollars, it's grant money. We also have $175 million worth of alley sewer repairs coming probably first quarter of 26. All of that work will be exclusively in the alleys, fixing many, many sinkholes that are technically a private responsibility, but since this is grant money, we're allowed to use it for this purpose. There's an additional $9 million of community development block grant money that will probably be bid out here in the very, very near future, happening before, probably in Q4 of 25. So that is an example of the things that our teams are doing to try to take care of our customers and increase the level of service within our sewer system. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, public participation is closed. We will now go to the next item, item 6 under communications, 6A, receipt of correspondence. Motion is in order to receive and file the communication from the Field Service Department.
So move, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
Is there support? It's been moved and supported. All those in favor to receive and file, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? This item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is item number 7, unfinished business. There is none. And then we'll move to item 8, new business. There is none. Under item number 9, planning calendar. This item has been rescheduled to the October meeting. As far as the review of the meter operations program that's been rescheduled to October, as well as the quarterly, the CIP quarterly and year to date review. That has also been moved to the October agenda. We will now move to the next item, other matters. I know of none, and the next meeting is October 1st of this committee. And at this time, a motion is in order to adjourn. Is there a motion?
So move, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
All right, we're doing well. Next meeting in 3 minutes. Madam Chair, Commissioner Blackman.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call the Customer Service Committee meeting to order on this day of December 3rd at 2:15. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Blackman,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Garcia. She's present. I see her. Commissioner Forte.
Present.
Thank you very much. There being-
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
We can now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The next item is approval of the minutes of August the 6th, 2025. What is the motion?
So moved, Madam. Support.
Been properly moved and supported. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is public participation. Is there anyone who's indicated interest in speaking before the public, before our committee?
Yes, Madam Chair. Brian Peckapaw, again, Public Affairs Director for DWSD. The first person is Cecily McClellan.
Good afternoon, Ms. McClellan. Please mute yourself. Okay, we look forward to hearing from you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. And I'm speaking on behalf of we the people of Detroit. You know, we did have an opportunity to meet with Matthew Phillips regarding some of the issues that are related to the new Lifeline program, Detroit Lifeline H2O. I just like to go on the record to say that we would like to publicly express some of those concerns. This plan is going into effect October the 1st. We are now on September the 3rd. We're looking at approximately 7,000 current enrollees in the Lifeline program. I don't see how those persons are going to be notified within this less than 30-day period and be allowed to transition over to the new program. And as you are aware, the new program is only one tier now, and that one tier is $34 for all participants. And it's based on a poverty level up to 200%. As we are aware, 90%, a very large percentage of the persons that were on Lifeline fit at the lower income level, probably at 135%, those recipients that receive SNAP benefits. We'd like to know how this transition is going to take place. It has not been identified that there will be a third-party administrator like Wayne Metro that will be, for lack of a better term, recertifying the recipients to go into the new program. So this service would then have to be placed upon the staff of DWSD, who traditionally in the past have not done or committed to doing eligibility criteria. So we suspect that, or we wonder whether there will be a grandfathering of Lifeline residents who are in good standing into the new program, and those numbers would just be drastically reduced. We've heard different numbers in terms of the amount of persons that can be serviced with the dollars that are available now, approximately 3.5 million, anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000. We would like to know specifically how many residents will be serviced, you know, for that drastically reduced amount for an entire year. So there are other items. We have seen that there is a new policy statement. I assume that it's the original Lifeline program and is being modified, but there will have to be quite a few changes in that 500 CS policy statement that was used for Lifeline. So we're just digesting that, and we look forward to making our comments on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. McClellan. Is there anyone else who's indicated interest in speaking?
Oh, Madam. Oh, I almost Yeah, here we go. We have two more hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Narelle Hemphill.
Ms. Hempill, welcome.
Good afternoon to the board and to the chair. My name is Norel Hemphill. I have the pleasure of serving as the legal and policy manager at We the People of Detroit. And I want to echo the concerns of Ms. Cecily McClellan, who spoke before me about what happens to those residents who are now in the Lifeline, the second iteration, phase two, if you will, of the Lifeline plan. And then in this third iteration, the Lifeline H2O. We know that during its height, Lifeline serviced nearly 30,000 of the 60,000 residents who were in arrears and had trouble paying their water bills during the time just during and just after the COVID-19 crisis. And we also know that the federal dollars available through LIWAP and local dollars available through RAP and some other dollars that DWSD was able to share with those programs is what helped Lifeline be funded. With this new policy document, one of the initial concerns is just overriding the old policy document of Lifeline. There may be some as Ms. McClellan said, there needs to be some considerable edits to that policy document in order to make it fit. But also, I think that it should be viewed by the public and allowed for public comment, just as the initial plan was, since the plan is changing so drastically, to ensure that it does truly meet the needs of residents and that residents are not negatively impacted by those changes in that policy document. We know that this assistance program has been tailored and reduced tremendously to align with the available funding. However, with that, we will be remiss if we do not ask this committee, the Customer Service Committee, to support the Diefendorf bill, House Bill 4555 that has been introduced, and all subsequent bills introduced by our House of Representative champion, Representative Emily Diefendorf, which is for true water affordability. Again, that's true water affordability, which ensures that all Michiganders, urban, rural, and suburban alike, have continuous access to clean, safe, and affordable water. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who's indicated an interest in speaking?
Madam Chair, the next person is D'Amico Williams.
Welcome, Mr. Williams.
Hello, Commissioner Blackman. How are you today?
Great, thank you, and I hope you are as well.
Great to hear from you. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm not there. You know, if you all take me off the terrorist watch list, then maybe I'll try to consider making some arrangements to come down. And if you also give me a parking space, so there's construction.
Glad you haven't lost your sense of humor.
No, for real. No, for real. I can't park down there. So I just want to address comments that was just, and I agree with We the People of Detroit. Thank you so very much for your comments and recommendations, because this is sorely needed. We need to slow this down. Here's the point. I haven't had a presentation or seen a presentation of the previous Lifeline plan, its accomplishments, how many water bills were zeroed out and achieved through Lifeline, the success rate of Lifeline. Can you all summon Louis Pisker from Wayne Metro and get him on Zoom to discuss what has been done through the Lifeline plan? What was their responsibility? And then can we also have the metrics of Lifeline through the day one to now, before it gets phased out into this new dimension? There's bigger conversations that need to be had, and we all need to take our steps slowly but surely, have our dots and crossed eyes before we get sued, because I feel like this is too fast of pushing 30,000 people off Lifeline And also, I'm worried about the people that paid $43 and $56 a month. How many of those people zeroed out their water bill through Lifeline and were paid? And can they be automatically put into the new H2O? Also, we want to know about these plumbing audits, this home audit conservation. Where y'all getting the money for that? Yeah, y'all don't even go to regular people homes, only but for meter consultations. Well, how that's going to work? And what is this third party vendor? Because we have a list of plumbers we need to see that are trusted by citizens. And we sent our recommendations and suggestions to Matthew Phillips in writing as of today. So hopefully we will be able to request another conversation with more time on the shot clock so we can have more opportunity to discuss our concerns, but also to discuss our suggestions as we have been since 2014. Everybody keep in mind, we're lucky to even have these considerations of customer service and such. But I want people that have been paying ever since day one to be automatically installed in Lifeline. No verifications of papers or anything unless if something's changed. That's too much work, and you don't have a vendor for that. And I also want to see promotion of this service for those that been on so they can be aware. No more slave talk. Thank you for taking my comments. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there
Madam
anyone else?
Chair. Yes, Madam Chair, there are no other hands raised at this time.
Thank you very much. I need to
You're
see the agenda. Thank you so much. The next item is is communications. We have none. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, our customer service presentation. Mr. Phillips?
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Kim Crowell, would you like to take over?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, commissioners. How are you today?
Quite well, thank you. And same, I hope you are as well.
Absolutely, I am. Thank you. So during the month of August, we received over 43,392 calls, and we responded to more than 6,600 email inquiries. This equals nearly 50,000 customer touch points. We averaged about 2,380 customer interactions per day compared to our 1,400 contacts that we are currently budgeted for. With our customer service calls, our emails, and our online self-service interactions, we had over 124,000 total interactions for the month, and that is a 70% increase over our expected daily volume. Next slide. Our average speed of answer, our overall average speed of answer, I'm sorry, is 11 minutes and 12 seconds. On the emergency line, our calls were answered in 5 minutes, 11 seconds. And our non-emergency line, our calls were answered 16 minutes and 7 seconds. Even with our high volumes, our customer satisfaction score remained at 82%, which is a strong indicator of our service quality. We've also now exceeded our goal for 24 consecutive months, so I'm proud to announce that. And also, our first call resolution stands at 72%, and we've also exceeded our first call resolution goal for 4 straight months. This slide gives us a look at our performance over the last 6 months. So as I previously mentioned, we were 70% over our forecast volume. Our average speed of answer, again, our average speed of answer was 11 minutes, 12 seconds within our 15-minute goal. And this played a big part in adding the additional 11 team members to our team who are now taking emergency and non-emergency calls, which assisted us in our average speed of answer wait times. Our email response, it did go down to 8 days. Our abandoned calls dropped to 4.3%, which brings us within our goal of less than 5%. And despite these challenges, we are still meeting our key service goals and improving our performance every day. So I would like to commend our team for reaching these goals and continuing to offer the best services that they can provide to our citizens of Detroit.
As do we, Ms. Crowell. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if there are no further questions, I will now turn it back over to.
Let me ask the
Oh,
committee first
mhm.
before we leave this slide.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the committee?
It's not a question, Madam Chair. It's probably a bit of a comment or an
Okay.
inquiry. Number one, I think what stellar results in light of the increased volume, and that is just wonderful. And speaking of the increased volume, I was wondering if there's something about that volume, and it's not a customer service issue but is there something about the volume that tells us something about our operations? Is there, something that might be insightful for us to understand about what's happening out there from an operating standpoint? It's more of an inquiry of that nature.
Yeah, Commissioner Forte.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Forte.
Mhm.
Great observation. And I just wanted to share. So yes, it does provide us some insight, and we do have metrics that look at dispositions of calls and the types of calls that are coming in. And we're able to see, as an example, we noticed that a lot of our customer service reps in the month of July were getting a lot of calls about making payments, that some of our customers were having trouble making payments through the IVR. So we're able to take that data and then go back to our technology team and say, is there something going on? Is there something that we can change? Can we lengthen? So we do listen, not only listen to our customers, but we also listen to our data to make adjustments along the way. And then every Monday, Kim and I get together with our entire executive leadership team just to share observations and things that we're seeing about call volume. So we get to share various metrics and various things that are going on that other teams might, if we notice that there's a lot of, let's say, catch basins in a certain area. So we can mention that to the maintenance and repair teams, and they can focus their attention in certain areas. So most definitely.
Oh, I think that's great. And it's excellent to hear about that coordination that's going on and what you're doing to extend the value of what you learn from an insight perspective for the benefit of our customers. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Forte. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Garcia? Are you trying to say something? Can you hear me, Commissioner Garcia?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Now I can.
Okay.
Did you have a question or a comment?
In and out for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Did
I'm
you
at
have a
the
question or a
airport, so
comment?
that may have something to do with it.
Okay, Commissioner. Did you have a question or a comment?
No, I didn't. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
thank you so much. Please continue, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at Lifeline, so we have 7,930 individuals or accounts that are receiving the Lifeline benefit. To date, since October 1st, 2024, when we started the next iteration of Lifeline, we've provided $1 million in arrears forgiveness and $7.5 million in gap assistance. I think that'll answer the question that Mr. Williams had of exactly who we're helping and what arrearages have been forgiven and what the dollar amount looks like. I'd also point out that later in the presentation, there are slides that are made publicly available of all of the individual data from Lifeline of the number of recipients in each one of the tiers of 18, 43, 56, as well as the amount of water that's used by each one of those different 5 tiers that are out there. So I just wanted to, I think there's 4 individual slides about the Lifeline information that might help Mr. Williams take a look at some of the data he was looking for. We had 54% of the Lifeline participants made a partial or full payment in the month of August, and 46% did not make a payment at all during the month of August. Any
Mr.
questions
Phillips,
about Lifeline?
Before you go
Yes,
on,
ma'am.
have you had a chance to share the information that you hoped Mr. Williams had seen before this meeting?
Actually, Madam Chair, I actually share it on a monthly basis. It's made public on a monthly basis, not only on our website, but it's also included in this presentation on a monthly basis.
Thank you, but my question is, have you talked with Mr. Williams directly about that?
No, today is the first time he's made public comment or made comment to me personally about the data, specifically
Okay.
requesting.
Thank you very much. Please
welcome.
proceed. Were there any questions, commissioners? Okay, please proceed.
And as far as Easy Pay goes, again, a successful program. I'll just point out that before I actually give the numbers, is that in the mayor's update to residents on Friday, just this past Friday, the 29th, there was a write-up to the residents from the mayor about the Easy Pay program. So if anybody's interested, take a look at that. Some great information in there about the program and what it's done for our residents. But we currently have almost 36,000 residents that have signed up for Easy Pay. We have a total of 21,302 accounts that are current and 3,146, nearly 10% of all the households that initially enrolled in Easy Pay have actually completed the agreement, meaning that they've paid their balance in full. So that's great. Overall, we've seen a 68% in the success rate of Easy Pay compared to the previous program 103050, which was less than 25% success rate. And to date, since August 1st of 2024, we've collected $11.3 million in arrears payments just on the Easy Pay program.
Very good news. Thank you. Any
You're
questions
welcome.
or comments, commissioners?
No, thank you.
Okay, please proceed.
Madam Chair, that concludes this item A under customer service communication.
Thank you very much. And as you know, I'm having some technical difficulties. So what's next?
What's next on the agenda? I'm sorry, yeah, you don't have the agenda up on the screen, but yeah, item B is the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit and Sewage Department approves the
It's a
amended
resolution, Matt.
resolution. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll skip to the juicy stuff, Marion. Thank you. Is the approval of a resolution for the Lifeline H2O policy.
Is there a motion?
Well, Madam Chair, first, Matt, is
So
there,
moved.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Matt, is there a presentation first before we do the resolution?
There is.
Okay, so we
Okay.
need to do that first.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Everybody can still see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes, we see your screen.
All right. So let's take a look at the resolution for the H2O policy and the recommendation. So on the agenda for Lifeline H2O is looking at the current state of water affordability funding, our recommendation based on that funding, since there is a significant change from the fiscal year 24 into 25, comparison of the two programs, the Lifeline, the current version of Lifeline versus the H2O version, a request for a policy change, which is to repeal the current policy and introduce the Lifeline H2O, and then just to talk about the affordable bill to keep this in mind of the most vulnerable residents in order to reduce service interruptions. So the current state of the program for Lifeline. So in fiscal year 25, we had approximately $11 million in state and RAP funds. And then looking at what the future holds is that is in going into fiscal year 26, we estimate currently that there will only be available the RAP funding, which is $3.5 million. So a significant reduction from $11 million down to 3.5. We know that the federal LIWAP dollars was not appropriated in the current fiscal federal budget, and the state of Michigan water affordability bill did not get approved in December of 2024. In fact, it didn't even make it to the floor for vote. So the future of the water funding is definitely uncertain, since the only thing that we have available is the RAP funding. Any questions about the current state of the program and the funding sources?
Any questions, commissioners? Please proceed, Mr. Phillips.
All right. So again, looking at the current funding, as previously stated in my prior presentation, there's approximately 8,000 individuals that are currently on the Lifeline program, and that was funded with $11 million. Going into fiscal year 26, we know that the only thing that's available to us right now is $3.5 million in RAP funding. So changes to the current Lifeline program are definitely in order if we want to achieve the Lifeline's mission, which is to have an affordable monthly water bill and reduce shutoffs to our most vulnerable residents. Any questions before I move to my recommendations? Our recommendations.
Please proceed.
Thank you. So we've revised the Lifeline plan, and we're calling it H2O, which is kind of a play on the second iteration of Lifeline. One of the things, just kind of, or the items here kind of bulleted out, is that we're going to keep the 200% of the federal poverty or less as the qualification level for the program. So that did not change. We've increased the bill from $18 to $34 and only having one tier instead of three. Most of these changes here are, one, to align with what the current SNAP benefit recipient in the city of Detroit receives, and as well as trying to administratively reduce the cost of the program so that we can have as many individuals enter into the program and receive the benefit of Lifeline as much as possible. And so one of the ways is by increasing the dollar amount to $34 will allow us to stretch it a little bit further, but it really further outlines the fact that when we originally went into Lifeline in 2022, it was looking at the average SNAP household income of approximately $11,000 times 1.8% of the household income, which came out to be $18. The new data as of today, which is actually as of 2023, is the current SNAP report that came out, states that the average household that receives SNAP benefits in the city of Detroit is approximately $20,000. Using the legislation that was proposed back in December of 2024, was looking at a household income percentage of 2 to 3%. We used the lower of those two numbers of 2% of the $20,000 average income of a SNAP recipient household would equal $34 per month. It would provide shutoff protection as long as you remain current on the program. It would extend out. Our current policy states that after 60 days of no payment, regardless of whether you're on Lifeline or not, you will be, your services will be interrupted. We took the recommendation of Mr. Williams from Highgate Detroit and moved that to 90 days to allow customers to have 90 days to fall behind before they are terminated and removed from the program. So they'll have 3 months, and residents can re-enroll into the program if they bring their account current. So assuming that they are 3 months behind at $34 would be $102 in total. If they pay the $102, they would become current on their bill, and we will reinstate their benefits as long as they contact us to let us know that that's what they want to do and come current with their to make their balance current.
Mr.
Every
Phillips.
household, yes, ma'am.
May I stop you there for a second?
Yep.
So if a customer is past due, let's just say 60 days past due, is there any contact with that customer before they become 90 days past due?
Absolutely. Yes. We are in constant communication, not only through the bill that they receive in their either in their email or in their mailbox on a monthly basis. We'll let them know that they are past due and how much they owe in order to become current. And they can also look at our website as well. And their account is available in the CS portal, and they can see what they're behind and make payments that way as well.
So before they become 90 days past due, where their services will be terminated, what is the latest date we would contact them before that would happen?
When they receive their bill in the mail or in their email, that would indicate that they are currently past due.
And that they're subject to termination?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Every recipient of Lifeline would receive up to 6 CCFs of water per household, which is approximately 4,000 gallons. Any usage over 6 CCFs would be billed at the next rate. So they would be billed for any overages past 6 CCFs. So the 6 CCFs is included in their $34 all-in bill. And then water conservation measures will be provided after 3 consecutive months where water usage is above 6 CCFs. We would reach out to that household and see what might be happening. There could be plumbing leaks, but we'll do an initial contact. And we plan on using dollars within the $3.5 million to fund a water audit or water conservation program that would include measures that could be installed in the home that would reduce water usage, like low flow shower heads, faucet aerators. We do some dye tablets so we can see if the toilets are leaking, that type of thing, and we would provide education. So
Mr. Phillips, is that communication only in writing, or is there a call regarding the water conservation measures that be provided after 3 consecutive months of water usage above 6 CCF?
It would likely be both, Commissioner.
Okay, that's encouraging. Thank you.
Yep. Any questions about the changes to Lifeline?
Any additional questions, commissioners?
I have one, on the 6 CCFs. What is it currently? Is it the same 6 CCFs as what's the water usage allowed per household?
Yeah, Commissioner. Yeah, that is correct. Yes, although it is based on household size. So up to 4 individuals that are living in the house, they receive up to 6. Actually, it'll be Commissioner Forte. If you just pause for 1 second, if I could, I actually have a slide that would actually show that right here, so we can visually see it. It's probably much easier to visually see it than it is for me to explain it. So right now we have 5 different tiers that we have to administer and look at. So there's household sizes 0 to 4 household members receive up to 6 CCFs. And as you can see here, we know that almost 93% of everyone in Lifeline today is in that 0 to 4. So administratively, I think for us, it makes sense to help reduce the cost, because for every one of these groups, the other 4 groups that are here, up to 12 and greater household members, we have to manually calculate this out of 8,000 bills every month.
Yeah, this is a good chart. Helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions before we move on? This last slide is just a comparison of the current state of the Lifeline program compared to the future state of what the program looks like. It's just a comparison of the 2 programs. It's everything I just talked about. It's just in an easy to read chart for those that want to read it. And just so the board and Madam Chair, that you're aware, these are the same slides that I presented to We the People of Detroit, as well as Hydrate Detroit, so they could see exactly what would be presented today, as well as just to point out that as part of item B on this agenda, not only does it include the resolution for change, but it also includes the suggested and recommended policy for H2O. So
Thank
with
you.
that being, yep.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead, please.
So Madam Chair, and I'll take I'll take a recommendation into consideration as well from We the People of Detroit, just recently from this meeting, that actually recommended, and I'll just take it, kind of paraphrases it. I guess I would to change the policy altogether. This is brought together as presented as the resolution is brought together as a policy change, but I would invite the board and this committee to consider just repealing the current Lifeline policy and then passing at the formal session the H2O policy, which is included in the resolution today, as well as included in the actual public information that's made available, is the new Lifeline H2O policy. So I would just invite the committee to consider repealing the current version of Lifeline and approving at the formal session the H2O policy.
Thank you. And is that
that concludes?
Did I hear a question? Did I hear a question from one of the commissioners? So that would be under what area of the agenda?
That's item B, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Is the resolution.
Thank you. Okay.
Marion, what is the protocol and next steps? Does someone need to read the resolution? Do we need to put that up?
They need to read it, yes.
Okay. I think I have, well, Tamara's going to beat me to it.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Forte.
yeah, I would move that the Customer Service Committee recommend to the full board, on the recommendation of Chief of Staff and Chief Customer Service Officer Matthew Phillips, to approve the amendments of Lifeline H2O plan for water affordability and authorize the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Is there a second?
Support.
Any discussion on the motion?
Support.
Thank you. We noticed the support. Is there any discussion on the
Support.
motion?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear Commissioner Garcia? Are we coming through to you okay? Commissioner Garcia? We hear you. Can you hear us?
I did support. Could you hear me, Madam
Yes,
Chair?
we heard you. I wondered if you
Okay.
could hear us. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you very much, commissioners. I'm having trouble. Okay, we're finished with item B. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, yes, item B is completed, including item 9 as well, which is the planning calendar.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Hearing none. Our next meeting is October 1st, 2025. Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, so our next meeting will start at 3:15, our human resources.
Hey, Marion,
Yes.
just want to note that I completed the presentation on time today.
Did you?
We're on time, right?
Well, yeah, well above time.
Well above time. All right. I just wanted to note it.
That's all right, honey. They're all the same here.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Can you hear me? Just checking my mic. Okay, I see a thumbs up. Great.
I can hear you.
Thank you, Imani.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome aboard our flight to Washington Reagan Airport. Getting settled in the main cabin. Please place smaller items under the seat, leaving.
All right, it is now 3:15, and we will call the Human Resources Committee to order. Madam Secretary, could we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Garcia. Yeah, she is present. I see her, but can't hear her. Commissioner Blackman,
Can you hear me now?
Commissioner Garcia?
Can you hear me now? This is Jane.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Blackman. Commissioner Blackman? Well, I guess she's excused at the moment, but she is here. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
All right, we'll see how this goes. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Oh, there she is.
Motion's been made and properly supported. All in favor of the motion signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and that motion is carried. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of August 6th?
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Motion's been made and properly supported. All in favor of the motion signify by the sign of aye.
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 All opposed, that motion is carried as well. We'll now have public participation. Mr. Peckinpah, do we have any hands?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. We do have Mr. D'Amico Williams with his hand raised.
All right, Mr. D'Amico Williams, you already know the rules of the road. You have your time.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, Commissioner Davis. How are you today?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
Great, great. Doing good, doing good. Thank you for chairing this meeting, and thank you to the commissioners that are present on this committee. D'Amico Williams, I'm the Chief Executive Director of Hydrate Detroit. We provide water advocacy, consultation, and restoration and payment of water bills to citizens in the city of Detroit that have had their water, but that have access to clean running water. And I'm very happy and I'm very satisfied that we are able to be a lifeline to others in need. I just want to celebrate our Share Water 10-year barbecue was a success. We have raised a total of $4,700, and we are able to help people. Um, the only thing is, 10 years ago, we didn't have any of these avenues, and we've been fighting for so long, which would have taken us a year. It actually would have taken us a year to have a clear water affordability model that we can show off to the nation, just like any other community and any other city that has water affordability assistance programs. But as we know that assistance is not affordability, because assistance in Detroit has been lackluster. We can't get actual receipts of how many people are paid off and happy. You know, they were once in a situation, they changed their life around, they were able to get out of debt. Some people are still in debt, repeat offenders. I don't know what to say, but I want to answer Commissioner Blackman's question properly about Mr. Phillips meeting with myself. Yes, he did. He has met with me to present the Lifeline H2O program, and he has also done a phenomenal job in explaining some of the changes. But also, you know, I'm a detail-oriented person. I want the meat and potatoes, and I really want to dig deep into some of the questions and inquiries that I've had regarding Lifeline. At first, I was not for it because it was rushed ahead of time and just put out there with no given due time of process. And I'm requesting that this board slow this down and give us due process. Give us the opportunity to present our recommendations and solutions. Give us the time to digest this. I don't know how all of you can read 250 pages at such a time, or even so much as a few slides to understand and digest the whole situation. But when you look at 10 years versus today, it should be way more better today than it was 10 years ago. So I do want to answer that question. Matt Phillips has done a phenomenal job, and we will continue to work with him in our partnership and making sure Detroiters have clean access to affordable water. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Peckinpah, do we have any other hands?
Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised.
All right, we will now close public participation, which brings us to communications, and there are none. Unfinished business, there is none. Our new business is our HR metrics, and we'll be calling on HR Director, Mrs. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to share my screen. Can you say that you see it?
Yes.
Awesome. Good afternoon. Tiffany Jones, Interim Director for HR and Organizational Development. It's my pleasure to bring you the metrics of August 2025. So here are our demographics for the month. We have 667 employees, and here is the breakdown by demographic. Our next slide covers Detroit residents and new hires. For the month of August, we had 8 new hires, 3 of which were Detroiters. So of our 667 employees, we have 366 that are Detroiters and 301 that are non-Detroiters. At the request of Commissioner Garcia, we kept this slide. This is a breakdown of all our employees by county. Being Wayne is our largest at 494. That's 74% of our employees. Of the 667 employees, we have 118 that are eligible for retirement. That is 18% of our total workforce. Here we have all of our open positions. We have 11 open recs, and those 11 recs equate to 16 open positions. So here are the classifications. That we're currently interviewing for, and this is a continuation. Last month, we did have a recruiting exhibit that we went to at the Fox Theater. It was about 100 employees, and so we are actively going to many more, and you'll see some additional ones for the month of September. Our planning calendar is up to date. We will talk about the composition study in the next segment under the resolution. That concludes this presentation on the metrics, if there are no questions.
Colleagues, are there any questions for Director Jones?
I don't have any, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Jones. Outstanding presentation. All right. You've got the compensation schedule coming up. That brings us to item 2025-213. Is there a motion? Colleagues, that brings us to item B, 2025-213. Is there a motion?
Thank you. I had trouble seeing it because of the size. I would move upon recommendation of Tiffany Jones, Interim Director of Human Resources and Organizational Development, that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit and Water and Sewage Department would approve the amended official compensation schedule and authorizes the director to take such action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Blackman. Is there a second? If not, I will offer a second. Ms. Jones, you're presenting on this?
Yes. Let me share my screen again. Okay, can we see the slide?
Yes.
Awesome. So again, good afternoon. It is a privilege of mine to bring you the results of our compensation study. But first, I would like to introduce Jessica Frame. She is a panelist. I believe she got promoted. She is the classification and compensation manager at the City of Detroit. And she was very instrumental in helping us cross the finish line on this project. So I want to thank her and offer, if you have any questions that we can answer, that both of us can answer for today's presentation. So the first question, why did we decide to do a study? Quite frankly, it was time. We did an abbreviated survey when we bifurcated with GLWA, but that was only an abbreviated one. And the executive team remembers a comprehensive one not being done back until 2007. So it was time to get in the market. But most importantly, we needed a study to increase our competitiveness in the market. We not only wanted to attract new employees, but we wanted to retain the ones that we have. So for this study, we developed two goals. The first was to compare our pay ranges with the market. And the second was to create job classifications that better reflected employees' actual duties and responsibilities. So what was done? This process started back in 2024. We hired American Society of Employees So when we hired them, we contracted with them, and the first thing we did, the HR team surveyed all of our employees to clarify their job duties and identify any existing job titles that we were working with. So, and from that survey, we then took the job titles and descriptions and updated them if necessary. And then we provided that to the American Society of Employers, where they started their benchmarking. Are there any questions on what was done for the project? Okay. So once we gave all of the descriptions to ASC, they started benchmarking. They compared our jobs to similar jobs in the market. They sampled Great Lakes Water Authority and Metro Detroit. If Metro Detroit wasn't available, they then looked at Michigan and then national. To be considered a match, at least 70% of the job's responsibilities, requirements, and overall content had to align with the job description. The ASC, they used compensation data from sources including the American Water Works Association, Pay Factors Compensation, and the Economic Research Institute. These sources included both public and private sector data that included industries emphasizing on manufacturing and wastewater organizations. So we wanted to compare apples to apples across our job descriptions. Jobs were placed at the 65th percentile as opposed to the standard 50th percentile. This was in alignment with the approach that GLWA took when they completed a similar project a couple of years ago. And this allowed us, again, to stay competitive with our local organizations. So what did we discover after a year long of putting together job descriptions and benchmarking it with the market? We discovered that we were paying at least 62.5% in the market of existing jobs, which isn't bad, but we wanted to increase those almost 40% up to market. So what is at market? DWSD defined at market as paying at least 95% of the market rate. So here's our recommendation. We amended our salary structure that assigned each job to a grade with the associated pay range. So therefore, you receive the updated official compensation schedule, which is commonly known as the White Book. That document should have been provided to you in your documents. The document shows the job title, the current mid and max ranges, and the proposed mid and max ranges. The titles with no current ranges are the newly created titles. Union classifications are not included in this document as they will be presented to the board separately. So upon your approval, we will begin recruiting with the amended schedule and using the new classifications. Are there any questions for me or Jessica since we have her as a panelist?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Blackman.
Yes. When you decided to change the structure to 65% of market value, how was that considered with the budget?
Jessica, do you want to answer that? IT, she may have to get, as she's unmuting, it was a decision from the executive team on which percentile to be standard. And we looked at all the pay ranges and submitted those budgets to finance to approve for the 65th. We looked at the 40th, the 50th, and the 65th with all the recommendations that would be a financial impact. And it was decided with the executive team to go with the 65th percentile.
And I have no problem with what the recommendation is. I'm just wondering, isn't there a process for each department in determining what its budget will be for all categories and certainly salaries? So was this in alignment with or in conjunction with recognizing what was already approved for the budget and what had to be approved?
Yes, Commissioner, if I'm understanding you correct, yes.
Okay. Isn't there a certain period of time that where the budget can be adjusted and when it cannot be adjusted?
I'll have to ask our CFO on the process of when the budget can, if the budget can be
Can
amended.
when it can be
Right.
revised, I should
Right.
say. Okay, just curious. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
All right, Ms. Jones, thank you for that. Um, Colleagues, are you ready for the question? All in favor of the motion signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And that motion is carried. That brings us to uh, other matters. Our next meeting is October 1st. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move adjourn, Mr. Chair.
And I will second that, and we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few minutes before the legal committee starts.
Hi, Patty. This is John Henry Davis, returning your call. So I had a missed call from you earlier. Two missed calls, looks like.
Commissioner Davis, you're not on mute.
We hear you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Commissioner.
Okay, are we ready?
We are.
Okay. Let's see. The Detroit Board of Water Commissioners Legal and Government Affairs Committee meeting will now come to order. Would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Blackman,
Present.
Commissioner Einhauser is absent. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. A motion is in order.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead. Yes.
Mr. Chair, before we move, we need to amend the agenda. We need to add an item.
Which item is it?
It would be the security and integrity update.
Okay, with
Which
that
would-
in mind, yes.
Uh,
With that in mind, excuse me, Ms. Pension?
Mr. Chair, I
Yeah.
would move approval of the agenda as amended.
That's a. Go ahead, you could talk. Go ahead, Nakia.
I'm so sorry, the security and integrity is already on there under the planning calendar.
So it's not to be amended. It's there already.
It's there, but we didn't have the material for that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that motion would be in order, and so a motion has been made to approve the amended agenda. Is there a second? I'll be second. Okay, we'll now vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the previous meeting minutes of August 6th. A motion is in order,
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
and I support that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is item 5, public participation. Mr. Peckinpah, is there anyone with their hand raised? And if so, would you please, and if so, then let the record reflect. I'll let you go into all of that, that part.
Okay, Mr. Chair, thank you. Good afternoon again. The first person with their hand raised is Mr. D'Amico Williams, and you see the instructions on the screen for public comment during this session.
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm in acknowledgement of the rules and regulations. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you, Miko.
Very good, very good. Great to hear. D'Amico Williams, Chief Executive Director of Hydrate Detroit. I wanted to address this committee, the legal committee. I had some questions and they're not fully developed yet. So I'll bring them at the next committee meeting just to inquire about some of these receiverships in the downtown Detroit and how much are their water bills and have they been paying, such as the City Club apartments. But that's a later discussion. I was at the Jazz Fest over the weekend, and I saw many of my neighbors, and some of them, a lot of people. The Jazz Fest was lackluster. Our corporate philanderers do not have the money that they used to have anymore. There used to be a great effort to put on performances of jazz, but also to bring together people. And at the last end of summer, and they have declined in years. But what they did was they begged you to donate to keep the Jazz Festival free. They also begged you to be a sponsor, partner, and/or contributor to help keep the Jazz Festival free, the Detroit Jazz Festival. It used to be the Montreal Jazz Festival, but anyway, when I think about what we're doing here with Lifeline, water affordability, assistance, this water and sewage department in the city itself and how it treats its residents and customers, to rely on federal and state rates is outrageous. We are in political hostage territory right now in the State House of Lansing. Nothing is getting moved. I don't even know this woman that they're proposing this water bill, and I've never met her. I haven't had a conversation, and I haven't seen this proposal. But I know of Stephanie Chang, Senator Stephanie Chang, and we had a lot of House Democrats ready to support this until one woman who's running for the city council currently, and she made the top final two, derailed everything. And it's terrible that we pain, the suffering, the stress, the emotional and physical demands, going back and forth to Lansing, doing a press conference in the middle of New Year's Eve is absolutely outrageous. And the fallout, she made a public social media post explaining her decisions, using one man from Westland to deny us water affordability. And I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know how this was going to. But anyway, legally we're stuck in a pickle, so we may not have any federal or state rates. We may need to consider other means of funding, and I know the water department has it and we can work together to get it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chair, that was the only person on the public comment.
Okay, that being said, public participation is now closed, and we'll now go to the next item on the agenda. It's item 6A, FOIA request. Motion is in order to receive and file the FOIA request report.
I move that we receive and file, Mr. Chair.
And I support that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is item 6B, litigation report. Motion in order to receive and file the litigation report.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Support that motion. I support that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business, and that is an item, a verbal update from Bridget Scaling.
And Commissioner, we have Associate General Counsel James Boudreau, who will give an update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Nikki. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I just have a brief update regarding Bridget Scallion. And while I am paraphrasing, Ms. Scallion has attended a few of the past Board of Water Commissioner meetings and has provided some public comments regarding a landlord in Detroit who, according to her public comments and the materials that she provided, she was alleging that this landlord has been delinquent on its accounts with DWSD and has not been paying its bills. So our office did some investigation into this and looked into the landlord's accounts, and we did find that the landlord's accounts were delinquent. But almost immediately after this discovery, we also found that the landlord began to enter into payment plans for his accounts. There were seven accounts in total with DWSD for this landlord, 5 of which are in current payment plans, and they're all up to date and have been paid pursuant to that payment plan. And we're still working with those other 2 accounts to get the payment plan details settled. But I just wanted to provide that update in response to those public comments and provide this board that information that we have looked into it, and that's what we have discovered thus far.
I appreciate the follow-up and the detailed update. I just I'm glad that that we were able to look into this and bring some sense of resolution. And so all of this has been communicated with Ms. Scallion, I would suppose.
That is the plan. I don't believe a communication has gone out yet, but that is indeed our plan.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for the update, and thank you for doing your due diligence. The next item, are there any questions as it relates to that item? There being none, we'll move to item 8H, which is new business. I don't see new business. 8A, item 2025-187, the DWSD safety update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We have our Health and Safety Manager, and that is Natasha Hooten, and she will give the DWSD safety update.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and team. I hope all is well. So I'm actually going to be giving 2 presentations today. One is going to be updates with our KPIs, and then another about our 20 steps to plan for excellence, when it comes to safety. So. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So for environmental health and safety, when it comes to our incidents or injuries for 2025, we do have a total of 30, and it's broken down by body parts. As you can see, I did the hands in red just because that's like one of the most frequent injuries that we have been noticing, with our trends. And this is just another, version of it in a graph form, for you to be able to see with our numbers. Okay. Recordable versus non-recordable. Of the 30, 10 of the injuries were non-recordable, meaning that we don't have to report it to the state next year for our numbers. And then the other 20 as of right now are recordable, which will go on our MyOSHA 300 log. This is a breakdown of the incidents per month, starting in January up through August. Now for gas strikes, since January, we have had a total of 45 gas strikes. And I'm going to break this down a little bit further. So, and then this is also broken down by month as well, as you can see. And of the 45, 13 were a result of one of DWSD's teams that was performing work. Of those 13, DWSD was at fault for 5 of those, and then the other 8, DTE Energy was at fault, basically meaning it either was mismarked, not marked at all, but it was not the fault of our team. Now, of those remaining 45, 32 were the result of our contractors that were performing work on behalf of DWSD. So to the left, it shows you the name of the contractors. And at fault of the 32, there were 25 where the contractors were at fault. And then 7, they were not at fault again, mismarking or what have you on DTE's responsibility. Okay, so that's the update on the KPIs. Did anyone have questions on this one? Nope. Okay.
No questions? Any questions? Okay, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. Just give me one moment and I will pull up the other presentation. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, now.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So this is the plan that I developed for 20 steps to excellence of things that I hope to improve upon when it comes to safety at DWSD. This is just talking about the importance of having a safety plan, just because, of course, I'm sure we all agree, we always want the employees to go home the same way that they came to work. Healthy, uninjured, and nothing worse than that, so to speak. It also shows too that morale increases when they find that the employer that they're working for actually cares about their safety, as opposed to just being a number, so to speak, getting the job done. So the key elements for the safety plan: management commitment, first and foremost, all the way from the top, down to, employees, even down to the janitor level. So that's going to be one of the main things, just to get the buy-in. Also worker participation, because at the end of the day, our team members are the ones that's performing the work. We may not necessarily see everything. So we do want to make sure that they are comfortable and willing to step up and speak up. It's like the saying, if you see something, say something. Identifying different hazards and putting in the appropriate mitigation in order to prevent any type of injuries or illnesses that employees could be subjected to. And then also to make sure we're providing the right training and education for team members to safely perform the job. And then, of course, it's going to be evaluating the effectiveness of the program to see if there's any areas of improvement or opportunity, or maybe some adjustments that need to be made. And then, of course, communicating everything to the team members and documenting everything as well. Because if you don't document it, it didn't happen. So making sure that health and safety is a core value, making sure that we do have the right budget and resources in order to safely protect our team members, and making sure that roles and responsibilities are identified, which also then allows for accountability. So first thing too is developing a health and safety mission statement. Of course, leadership, will need to buy in, approve it, and then we'd be able to roll it out to team members so that they're aware of what our actual mission statement and core values are for DWSD. Now, this is just a proposal of a potential safety statement. Nothing is finalized or anything yet, just because I will be setting up, a meeting with the core team members in order to make sure that we agree and vote on it before we send it up to leadership for official sign off. So talking about DWSD's commitment, for one, the environment, the health and safety of team members and our community, making sure that we are complying with state, local, and federal rules and regulations, our commitment to the community as well that I spoke on, and employee involvement. Again, we want team members to know that they do have a voice and that they are being heard. So we have established or reestablished rather the Health and Safety Committee, which will meet monthly for anyone to bring up any questions, concerns, or comments that maybe they've heard from others, or if there's something that an individual would like to discuss. And then, of course, any action items, and again, also accountability to make sure these things are getting completed. We do want to encourage reporting hazards. I found, and not just at DWSD, but just throughout my career, sometimes team members don't feel comfortable reporting hazards or even injuries because they think that they're going to be reprimanded or disciplined for doing so. I mean, you can't discipline somebody for getting injured, of course, but we want people to feel comfortable and know that they don't have to work in any type of unsafe condition. Let's see, and promoting a culture of safety, just because that is an area definitely of improvement, that I have noticed with DWSD. So a great opportunity for us to, again, get employee morale increased, again, letting people know that they have a voice and knowing that safety is actually a priority for DWSD. So conducting workplace inspections, like my team goes out with a lot of the crews, to ensure that they are following safe operating procedures, wearing their personal protective equipment, and overall just being safe and not trying to hurry up and get the job done, cutting any corners. Also reviewing injury records and trends so that we can identify if there is, again, area of opportunity, if there's a lot of ergonomic injuries, or like how we noticed prior to that, it's a lot of hand injuries. And performing job hazard analysis. Basically, this is a joint effort with operations and safety and, our actual team members conducting the work to make sure we're identifying all of the hazards and addressing them to figure out what mitigations we need to have for each step when performing a task. So basically, it takes the task and divides it into steps. Now, for vehicle accidents, we do have an accident review committee. This also meets monthly to determine if a DWSD team member is at fault or not at fault for a vehicle accident. Again, developing controls, whether it's engineering, whether it's shift rotations in order to, again, reduce ergonomic injuries, making sure that the appropriate PPE is available and being supplied to team members. And again, training and communication. And this needs to be at all levels. Everyone should be properly trained prior to performing any task. Making sure we have the right signage to bring awareness if there is a situation or a hazard that could exist. And again, like I said, document, document, document. So we do have a safety orientation and we are reviewing it and we have expanded upon and are still looking for areas to add to it just to make sure that all of the appropriate content is being explained and given to team members before they even actually go out in the field. And this is something that at the very least, we do want to make sure we review this annually. An emergency action plan. This right here lists the components that are needed for it. You know, we want to make sure that we are conducting the appropriate drills, you know, evacuation for fire, shelter in place, making sure that the alarms are actually going off. Can it be heard everywhere? Are the lights flashing? And again, this is also an area where we can always look to see if there's a process where we need to make adjustments or improve upon, and knowing what critical operations where somebody might have to stay behind, or making sure that certain equipment is shut down so that one situation does not turn into a catastrophic situation. And then also so that team members are aware of how to report emergencies. When it comes to the incident command team, like, you know, who are the team members that they are supposed to be reaching out to? Something else too that I noticed that we don't have right now is a hearing conservation program, just to ensure that their levels, whether it's in a facility, again, whether it's a task using some type of machine or equipment, the appropriate hearing protection can be provided. This is something that I'll be looking into further, you know, to have a contract company come out to evaluate to see if this is something that needs to be implemented and or updated. And this is just going through the steps for it. So a health and safety manual is also another big one too, so that we actually can have a document on the intranet as well, so that team members, whenever they have a question or concern, they have access to the appropriate information. Again, so it can identify roles and responsibilities. What are the expectations? You know, what is the purpose? And this just kind of goes through the key areas that we do want to have a part of the health and safety manual. So basically, we wanted everything to be available at a team member's disposal with access to it. And again, this should always be reviewed annually as well. And this is just the continue on with the steps. So again, overall, this is going to be evaluating the program, again, doing doing inspections, tracking performance metrics, and again, revising as required, just because a new or best practice might become available that we need to implement, or again, areas of opportunity. And again, documenting and continuous improvement, we never want to get comfortable, again, because things change all the time. And especially with technology and advances and with studies that are being conducted, we are finding that there are areas where we can modify and improve our work environment and or process for the team. And this here is just a breakdown of how I anticipate to make this plan or to implement this plan. And we've already started working on, you know, some of these things as well. And so it's definitely a work in progress, but I'm confident that we should be able to get this completed and implemented within a year. And again, just know everybody plays a part in safety. Like I said, if you see something, say something. We should never be turning a blind eye, you know, if we notice any type of hazardous environment or someone not following the proper standard safety procedures. And thank you. Any questions on this presentation?
Thank you. Thank you. Amazing presentation. And thank you for bringing out some highlights as relates to practice policies and practices that DWSD has implements. Okay, and now I'd like to ask, are there any questions? Is there a question as relates to this presentation? Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you all for your time.
Oh, I was muted. Oh my God, I was muted. All that talking. No, okay, no. Thank you for that presentation. That was a great presentation and highlighting the processes in place as it relates to safety, and not just from a sideline. So thank you for that. So now, Ms. Pospich, we will go to item number 8B. I'm up there talking. My phone, my thing was muted. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I want to give a shout out to Ms. Hooton. That really was a terrific presentation.
Yes, it was.
Long overdue thoroughness of a safety program. So great work. My name is Deborah Pospich. On behalf of Detroit Water and Sewer, I'm giving you an update on pending legislation at the state and federal level and an update on potential funding sources for water affordability, or the lack thereof, actually. So as you know, from Matt's presentation, we had the right size lifeline based on the available funding. It's a sobering fact that without a dedicated funding source, we're going to have to live within our means and follow Michigan law as it stands, which says you can only charge a person a fee for the service provided to that person. So at the federal level, President Trump's budget included zero money for water payment assistance and zero for LIHEAP, which was the gas and electric. The Senate proposed budget has money for LIHEAP, the $4 billion, and they added another $20 million for gas and electric, but nothing for water. In July of this year, the U.S. House of Reps introduced a bipartisan LIHWAP legislation that would make the COVID era program a permanent program. I would say for now, the odds of passing this are slim, but it is out there for consideration. Also, DWSD is part of an EPA study on water affordability programs. They're studying best practices around the country, and they're looking for recommendations to develop a template for water providers around the country to use in creating water affordability programs. My interview was yesterday with the EPA. They were very complimentary of Detroit's program. They had not heard of, they were especially amazed at how we signed up so many people in such a short amount of time. That was a huge success. So efforts at the national level are still quite a bit of a long shot, but we have to keep moving forward, keep the dialogue open. We can't just sit around waiting for a new president. We also remain active with water affordability associations around the country, advocating for funding. So at the state level, the Michigan Senate proposed a budget that has $7 million for water affordability. The governor's budget has $7 million for water affordability. The House budget has zero for water affordability. So the governor, the House, and the Senate will have to work on a consensus budget. And we're going to advocate for, at a minimum, the 7 and the 7 from the governor and the Senate are both in there for a total of 14 statewide. But for comparison, there was 60 million in the budget during the COVID in 23 and 24 for water affordability, and every penny of it was used statewide. So we'll still advocate for the 60 million to be replenished as the maximum number. So there's water affordability bills in the Senate, 248, 49, 50, and 52. And they have bipartisan support. And then there is a House bill, which our friends from We the People of Detroit talked about earlier in their comments. So at this time, Detroit supports the Senate bipartisan version. It was crafted with, Marion, mute yourself. It was crafted with advocates, community action agencies, the Department of Health and Human Services, even the medical community, nurses. So there is support from Republicans on the House side, but given we would need a majority of Republicans on the House to vote for it, I don't know that we're there yet. So this handout, we'll put this in part of the meetings going forward, but let's see. Here it is. This handout is a one-pager about the Senate bipartisan legislation, the key features of the bill package, and why we support it. So we'll make that a part of the minutes. Let's see. Then there's the bill in the House, which is the Devendorf bill, number
Debbie,
45.
excuse me, one more. Debbie,
Yeah.
we don't see anything on the screen.
Well, okay.
Hello?
Are you going to share your screen, Debbie?
It says the window you selected is invalid.
I
Well,
think
all
we see
righty.
it now. I believe we see the summary.
Oh, all right. You see the one pager?
Yes.
Okay. So that one pager talks about the 4 pieces of legislation and why we support it.
I don't see
And we'll
anything.
make that part of the
I don't know if
minutes. No, that's something else.
I see it, but can't read it. It's too small.
Yeah, that's not what I intended to show. I'm not having the ability to share right now.
Right now, I think this is what Tamara is showing.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
Tamara to not do that.
She needs to stop sharing so you can share. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, never mind. So then there's the House Bill 4555, and it has many similarities to the Senate bills, but there's some significant differences. So Detroit does not support it at this time. For the most part, the drafters, we all have the same mission to help low-income families race all that old debt and have a water bill that they can afford. And everyone's intentions are sincere, and we're all deeply committed to getting laws that allow relief for customers around the state. We know the need is around the state. So, and then here's another handout if this works. Okay, here's the handout with the this is about the Devendorf bill. So we'll put that in the minutes of the meeting too. And this was by the other coalition that's working on the other bill package. So we'll send that around. Next, before we talk about the differences between the legislation, I want to talk to you about the basis for bill package 4555. And it's based primarily upon, the Philadelphia program, Philadelphia's tiered assistance program. So Philadelphia's program, it's definitely excellent and best case scenario for any program because it assesses the cap bill on the individual household income. Each house gets a bill that has it capped for their unique circumstances. But we have to look at those merits in context. First of all, the Philadelphia is not subject to Michigan's restrictive laws. In Philly, they've got 500,000 residential customers. That's more than double of the number of customers we have. There's a lower poverty rate in Philadelphia versus Detroit. So they've got more customers with the ability to pay to contribute to their program costs. And in Philadelphia, this year, they raised their rates 9.4%, and they're going to raise them 5.5% next year. And according to their website, $5 of every monthly bill goes towards their affordability program. So it's quite an expensive program to support. But it, it's great, but you have to pay for that much coverage. So now I'd like to go over the differences between the bill packages. The bipartisan Senate package has a dedicated funding source. It's $1.25 a month per account. It'll go up a quarter each year up to $2. And there's a $3 maximum per month in the legislation. On the House side, there's no funding source identified at this time. And as I explained earlier, the proposed appropriations in the budget of only 7 million, maybe 14 million, would not be enough to cover the program attributes statewide. And the House bill mandates that the Department of Health and Human Services implement the program within 1 year. And so as it's drafted, it's an unfunded mandate to have a water affordability program for both Health and Human Services and for the water providers. Under the bipartisan Senate package, the monthly bill is a percentage of the average household income in the service area. So 2% for people up to 135% of poverty, 3% up to 200%. It's an average of the household income in the area. And in the House bill, as I explained, it's a percentage of each Pacific household's income level. So they have 3 tiers, 2, 2.5, 3% of household income. And, the challenge for water providers under the House bill is that they would have to customize their billing system to look at 2 things, both the usage to calculate the real bill, and then base the net bill upon each individual's household income. And we talked about this at length in the stakeholder group drafting the Senate bill. And DHHS and the water providers felt that the individualized option, it was administratively burdensome and it was unachievable, especially for the smaller water systems that we talked to. And there are over 1,400 different water providers in the state of Michigan. So that, we're trying to think of something that was a fit for as many as possible. Under the bipartisan package, there's no shutoffs for critical care patients, regardless of income, and then people in the program. Under the House bill, there's many more categories of people that are exempt from shutoffs, regardless of household income. And it's also regardless as to who's got the account in their name. It's anyone who lives in the house. So if there's a critical care customer, a senior, a pregnant woman, dependents under age 18, that household cannot be shut off for non-payment. And then, of course, people in the program can't be shut off. So, this criteria alone encompasses tens of thousands of households in Detroit who have the ability to pay and should be paying their bill, but they would be exempt from any shutoffs. And I hate to pick on Gary Brown, he's not here to defend himself, but if he decided to stop paying his water bills, he would be exempt from shutoff because he has both seniors and someone under 18 living in his household. So DWSD does not put debt on the tax roll, so that's not an option. The option would be we'd have to start suing the customers. So that's a big difference between the 2 bill packages. So just to wrap up, I just want to stress again that everyone has the right intention to help low-income customers. We just simply have differences of opinion on how to get there. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pospies. Any questions? Any questions of Ms. Pospies?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, yes.
Don't have a question, but it's an overwhelming solution for us to try to find.
Absolutely,
Overwhelming
absolutely.
is the word, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I thank you for all the hard work that you've done, and our as well as our water warriors and folks who've partnered with us in trying to find a permanent funding source. We've come a long way, DWSD and the Detroit community and the community wide have come a long ways in trying to work together and getting a permanent solution. Okay, well, there being no further questions on this item, we'll go to item 9, our planning calendar. Our planning calendar is year-end metrics on security and integrity. With that, that'd be year-end. That's not scheduled for this meeting, is it?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's the item we
Yeah.
added, the presentation to be done by our security, Mr. Daniel Allen.
Can we push that to the next meeting, please?
We can.
Okay, thank you. The next item is item 10, other matters, and I know of none. The next item is next meeting. Our next meeting is October 1st, so please include that on your calendar and as relates to that next meeting. And our next item on the agenda is a closed session to consult with our legal counsel in closed session pursuant to an allowable action under the Open Meetings Act. And so at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Do we have a statement to read, or can we just move to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing litigation?
The statement is on your screen.
I can't,
Okay.
okay. I would
Just
move,
read that motion.
I would move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewerage Department agrees to meet with legal counsel in closed session pursuant to Section 8H of the Michigan Open Meetings Act to discuss an attorney-client privileged memorandum prepared by the Office of the General Counsel.
Okay, I support that motion. And at this time, let's request a roll call, Ms.